Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Member Young?
Here.
Member Zaleski?
Here.
Member Dashiell?
Here.
Vice Chair Hurley?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Do we have any changes or anything need to be made to the agenda
Not today.
at this point?
I actually would like to add a discussion point to our agenda, if I may. I was hoping to do it last week, or last month, I should say, but we really didn't have the opportunity. I know we are coming up with some design guidelines for the Paso Grill overlay and for the city, and I would like to add the discussion of color to the Paso Grill overlay discussion.
It should be fine. That's going to end up being then discussion. Might we put it with design book? Any suggestions? Or just put it on as D, 5D? Or just include it with the design book?
I have it as 5D.
That's a matter of preference.
We're going to add it with design book. Is that
Add it
right?
to the design book
Or do you-
conversation?
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Any other changes to the agenda? None noted?
No.
Okay, do we need to do a swearing in of the people that are giving testimony today on any of these items?
We just need a motion on the agenda to approve the agenda. Thank you.
Motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda for Thursday, July 9th, 2026.
I second that.
Okay. This is time for general audience comments.
they need to vote.
We're here to make a general comment on something. If you
Mr.
have a
Early.
case with us, pardon?
Oh, we still need to have a vote for the agenda.
Oh, I guess, yeah. Roll call?
Okay. Member Dashiell?
Yes.
Member Young?
Yes.
Member Zaleski?
Yes.
Vice Chair Hurley?
Yes.
Motion carries.
I'm a bit rusty at this.
Sorry.
This is the time that we would go to audience comments. If you have comments on anything that's going to be, if you're giving testimony, you don't have to do that at this point, but if you have any other general comments, this would be the time to do it. Not seeing any, I would say we move on from there. Do we need to, well, let's go for the approval of the minutes. Anybody have a motion to approve the minutes from last month?
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from last month.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Roll call?
Member Zaleski?
Yes.
Member Dashiell?
Yes.
Member Young?
Yes.
Vice Chair Hurley?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Do we need to do
Yes.
swearing in or et cetera?
Yes.
Or giving testimony today?
Okay. If anyone who will be speaking or testifying before the board needs to be sworn in, please stand. Raise your right hand. Thank you. Do you swear or affirm that the information or factual representation that you are about to give or present to the board is truthful? Yes. Thank you.
Okay, at this point, I guess we're moving into our action items. Do we have a staff report for item 4A?
Yes, we do. If we could please pull up the presentation. So this is a revision of a certificate of appropriateness that the board approved back toward the end of 2024, just before Hurricane Helene. This is for the property address of 2507 Paso Grill Way. It's case number 24053. Owner Sherry and Ron Cicino. Staff is requesting board reconsideration of this certificate of appropriateness for the addition of a carport onto a single-family residence. Here's some photos showing the pre-construction, just to remind you of the scope. On the north side of the residence, A utility platform was added on the south side of the residence was the most significant addition. It was a carport addition as well as modifications to the upper story of the residence to create a walkout deck. And you can see that here. These are post-construction photos. They are winding down in the building permit. They had at the time applied for an ad valorem tax exemption request that had been recommended by the Historic Preservation Board at the time. Because the basis for signing off on this request requires that the certificate of appropriateness be followed exactly, there have been a few minor design modifications that I wanted to point out to the board for your reconsideration. You can see those here, looking at the drawing that was accepted by the Historic Preservation Board on the left. On the walkout deck itself, the intermediate posts are thicker than they were shown on the design. The fascia board below the deck is also thicker. There is less taper to the columns that support the deck above the pedestal. They did keep the brick siding for that. But the top of the pedestal is a thicker cap than what was shown in the drawing. You can see that on the left there. So with that, again, we would just like to get the Historic Preservation Board's input on these changes. Staff finds them to be relatively minor. The only change that's a little bit more contemporary is the thicker pedestal cap, but we don't think it's anything that is major cause for alarm. We would like the board to re-recommend this case to the City Commission if you find that these changes were appropriate. If not, if you could make recommendations rather on modifications, that would allow you to make a recommendation to the City Commission. We do plan to take this case forward next Tuesday to the City Commission for a vote on the ad valorem exemption that the owners had requested. Happy to take any board input.
Are the owners here?
That'd be the next question. Do the owner or owner's representative want to stand up and come up to the microphone? Please state your name and your address and speak into the microphone as the signs say.
Hey, everybody. I'm Sherry Cicino, 2507 Pasco Way, and that's my adorable blue house, historic house.
Did anything transpire during the as-built that required you to make these changes or caused you to make these changes versus what the plans were?
Well, I didn't even know they had been made until Brandon pointed it out. Those boards up on top, it seems like they needed to be a bit thicker just to hold up the railing to make that a little safer. And the bottom, the little white stuff on the stucco is just more of a design thing. It was built out with wood, and then we just put stucco on top because the wood was starting to dry. And our contractor stole our money and abandoned the project. So we ended up having to do that in order to not have to rebuild the whole thing, because the whole thing was just wood and it was drying and starting to split. So we had to not have to do it again. So that's what happened, I guess. Like I said, it's incidental. It looks like the house down the street. That's kind of what we modified to make it look like that. And I actually think the white looks, a little thicker white looks a lot better than the thinner white. That's just my opinion.
Okay, but no one, other than the contractor that tried to help you finish the job, changes that came along with that, there was no necessarily structural changes?
Oh, there's no structural changes, no.
They're purely cosmetic?
But yeah, it's just that we have, you can see on that picture, we have, is the actual thing that holds up the little railing is a bit thicker than or was originally called for. But I think that it should be thicker. I mean, it seems like it should be thicker. That was something that the contractor had done on his own, and I don't actually know what the plans say. Do you know, Brandon, what the plans say? Because that's what it's drawn, but what it's saying what's drawn maybe. different.
I think the intent was for 12 inches. It was just an estimate. I think it was around 18. And it's not that staff has any necessarily has any concerns with the design changes. We just need, because of the certification we need to provide for the ad valorem, we wanted this board to see and recertify these changes.
Just so that it's consistent.
Anybody on the board have any questions?
Would you, you know, your house is it's a bungalow, it's a Craftsman, and one of the hallmarks of Craftsman is tapered post in the front. Would you be open to tapering those posts back the way they are originally proposed?
We're in litigation right now with this with this contractor, and I can't even imagine fixing, we could fix it, I guess, but I'd rather shoot myself in the head than to do another thing on this house right this second, if you know what I'm saying. This has been so bad, stole our money, cut our roof off, brand new roof. I can't even go into all of it, but I'd rather not. And it's not really a Craftsman house. We added that. So it wasn't, those weren't there to begin with. It's a Craftsman style. So we didn't have any columns before. So it wasn't like we were matching them. But I understand what you're saying. And so would I imagine at some point in my life, I might, but I just can't be messing with this house anymore because we lost every single thing we own. And then the contractor stole all our money, so we're still, I can't even, I don't want to get involved. But we need to fix it. Tell me. You tell me. If I need to fix it, we just won't approve it and we'll just go on. I just, because I can't tell you I'm going to do that. Am I opposed to it? No, but I will not do it in this next year. And I might do it at some other point in my life when I get some energy. So it didn't start out as a Craftsman house. It became a Craftsman style house when we added this.
Because the approval of the carport was pre-hurricanes, which is what gave the illusion of it being the Craftsman, right?
Yeah, this whole thing was approved prior to the...
Right, yes, that's what I'm saying.
September 5th, 2024, it was
Boy, if we could go
approved.
back in time.
Well, I'm still living back there a little bit.
It's the storm.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, so
It's
it was
unbelievable.
everything was perfectly fine.
So prior to that, this didn't exist, which is part of the,
Yeah,
which is what I'm saying, is I
it didn't even
understand.
exist, so.
Right.
And it was, but we got approval from the
Right.
Historic Committee to do it like this.
Correct, I understand.
Yeah,
I'm just saying that that's what gives it the illusion. So in other words, that's what's giving it the illusion of the Craftsman, which is a nod to you of being, forward and thinking and having it tie into your home. So this is not I'm giving you credit for basically making it continue to aesthetically look pleasing. I guess my question is, so this suggestion, this wider intermediate post, thicker fascia board, less taper, this is suggestions from staff?
Not necessarily asking that any changes are made. I'm just pointing out the differences between the plans that the Historic Preservation Board
Got it.
accepted and what has actually been constructed. If you have any concerns about any of these changes, now would be the time to bring them up. If you feel that it's necessary for the modifications to be made prior to the item moving forward to the City Commission, which I think we just discussed, that would delay it quite a bit. We'll take that into account. But this board does have authority on these requests, and you had approved a slightly different plan than what was actually built. So if you have concerns about these changes, we would address that now. If not, you would just reapprove the certificate of appropriateness and allow her to move on.
Personally, on my behalf, I would say let's approve it and move forward and allow them to get going with their lives.
Yeah, the changes that were made between the drawings and the as-built don't seem to be that significant. Obviously, until you have the drawings next to the picture, it's hard to tell that's not meeting the expectation of trying to put a a structure that matches the existing building.
I would agree.
And I think it would maybe help us move forward also if we knew these changes were for structural integrity versus aesthetics. That would certainly cement it in my mind that these were necessary changes. You know, once we had the storm, you realized you need some stronger support posts, so they were wider, thicker.
Well, upstairs, they're really the same size downstairs, those posts, but the one upstairs, those were thicker because they thought it should be stronger. I don't know if for a storm or what, just because of wind and everything else, you know. So I know that those were that way. That would be more logical. The ones downstairs, they're just, it's the same size wood, except for it's just not slightly tapered. It is actually tapered. It just isn't. You saw them, right? They're tapered.
They do
They're
have
just
some.
not. There's just, it's not a 4-inch taper. It's a 2-inch taper. I mean, it's a taper.
So in your opinion, would it be these would be structural integrity changes that were made post-storm?
I would say so, because it's
Okay. All right, well then, I'm happy to make a,
I'd like to ask one question. So,
Yes.
excuse me, so on the pedestal cap, is that concrete? What is that material on the top of the brick?
stucco.
That's a stucco. I think from a design element where I like your idea of having it more tapered, if you could paint that top section of that, because it looks like that stucco is 2 sections. Is that
No,
is that
pedestal cap.
the pedestal cap? It looks like it's 2 sections on that. Is it not?
Yeah, you have to point out what you're talking
The
about.
white stucco on top of the brick.
Yes.
Is that 2 different sections of stucco? It's one. Are they? But they look to be 2 different sizes.
Well, I'm not really sure what you're asking. So, what I'm
Is it
saying
stepped in?
It was built,
It looks to be stepped in on the top section of the stucco.
it is,
Okay.
but it's not 2 sections.
Okay.
I don't really know what you're talking about,
So it's not 2 separate pieces of wood. Or
Stucco, right.
So it's
It's
not like
stucco.
there's one like this and then one that's a square on top of it. It's all in one together.
It's all one piece,
With
yeah.
stucco over it.
Okay. So my thought is to give that illusion of a little bit more of a taper, if you could paint that top section, the top stepped-in section of the pedestal cap, that same blue, it would go back to that look of the thin white that you had on the original design. See, because looks like 2 sections, and you can paint stucco. It's a thought that would give more of that look that you were asking for originally. Would you be able to do that? I know, it's just painting a section.
Yeah, you gotta get a painter,
Okay.
there's a lot. It isn't, I don't paint. I'm not gonna paint it. I mean, somebody might paint it. If you need me to paint it, I'll paint it. If that's really that critical, it's important.
I understand. I do. I just think that's an easy fix for that to get to the original design on that aspect. But
Anybody want to try and put forward a motion, either to go forward with changes or to go ahead and just allow them to, allow us to amend the certificate of appropriateness, just to accept it as it sits now? Thoughts?
I will make a motion that we accept the certificate of appropriateness the way it is now.
I'll second that.
Member Dashiell?
Yes.
Member Young?
Yes.
Member Zaleski?
Yes.
Vice Chair Hurley?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay. Item 4B, certificate of appropriateness for 108 Passive Way, number 26110. Brandon or anybody?
Yes, and I'm sorry, this description is incorrect, but this is for 108 Passive Way. It's case 26110. Mark Loeffler for Susan D. Russell Cameron. They are requesting to install an AC condenser on the south side of the structure. The residence on the property is a masonry vernacular single-family structure with Mediterranean influence, constructed in 1942 according to the 2003 boundary increase. It was approved for a post-storm garage door replacement. Air conditioning units currently exist on the southern side of the structure and are required to be elevated upon replacement due to storm damage pursuant to the 2023 Florida Building Code. This is one of the exemptions that the board cannot grant as part of your certificate of appropriateness and substantial improvement waiver capabilities. Units are required to be elevated even with a historic preservation board waiver. So you can see where the units are proposed. It's on the south side of the building. This is a double frontage lot. The east side of the lot faces Passive Way. The north side faces 2nd Avenue. It also has an alleyway frontage on the west side. To the south is a neighbor. Staff finds that the request is reasonable. It elevates the replacement units in the most reasonable fashion and location on the property. Potential that the units could be slightly more visible when viewed from the frontage is an acceptable trade-off for the substantially reduced time the structure would be unoccupied under a future storm event or would need to remain without central cooling. That could significantly mitigate mold growth and the risk of the structure needing to be substantially remediated in the future. We do prefer to see these modest improvements when viable to make the structures more storm resilient. Staff does recommend 2 conditions of approval: that they retain the existing vegetative buffer along the southeastern frontage of the structure. If it's damaged or removed in the future, it should be replaced with mature vegetation of similar opacity. And the platform and brackets supporting the elevated air conditioning units shall be painted to match the building. All new exterior wires shall be placed within shrouds matching the color of the building. So with that, we do ask that you make a motion to approve this case for 108 Passive Way with the 2 conditions as recommended by staff. We do have the applicant and the owner present.
Would the applicant or representative like to speak, answer questions? Please approach the microphone so other people can hear you too.
Well, I know that the house was built in 1951. It says 1942. It was built before there were even air conditioners, so.
No, go ahead. The bad news is you have to state your name.
Oh, yeah.
And you need to state your address.
Here's my name. Depends on the day. Susan Cameron, 108 Passive Way.
And you're aware that the height of the air conditioning units, the condensers or the compressors are now have to be elevated so high. So this is creating this question.
Which we had 5 feet of water, so clearly that, you know.
She had taken, sorry, Mark Loeffler, 108 Passive Way. I guess I can say that. The compressors, she took money from FEMA when they got destroyed. So that's what her concern is, because FEMA wants them up high, and that's part of why we're here, is because FEMA wants them up as high as we can get them, I guess, 11 feet off the ground. Our air conditioning guy doesn't want to go that high, but whatever we have to do. But to put them up that high on a house, you have to go before this board to get the approval to put them up at 11 feet on a historical dwelling. Is that correct? Is that why we're here?
Correct, yes, just because of the elevation of the units.
So, yeah.
But the elevation is not something that we can deal with because of the new building code requirements.
That's correct. The board could not waive the elevation requirement. However, if you find that there's a more appropriate place on the property for the units, you could make that recommendation. Staff does feel this is the most appropriate location given the 3 frontages along public thoroughfares. But if you feel that there's another condition that could help mask the units or that they could be in a better location, you're welcome to make that recommendation.
The only better location would be a little lower to the ground, but she's all willing to go up high also, so.
Yeah,
we
that's,
just need to
that,
approve it
that
by-
portion's been taken off of our hands.
In
That's
addition,
been taken off.
with the house being, when it was built in 1951, it was built before there were places for the, what's this thing that goes inside?
Air handlers.
Air handlers, so there's consideration that air handlers have to go in certain places, because I've already had to get a closet, 2 closets, so they kind of like the best
They're
place.
talking about outside
I know, but I'm
condensers.
saying that the inside has a factor with the
Yeah.
outside too, because, you know, it can only be so far from the, whatever you call that thing.
So where do we go from here?
So-
You guys vote to say they have to be?
Well, basically that we're moving forward. The request that's been put in front of us is a motion of, for the certificate of appropriateness, that if you make the changes such as keeping the heavy vegetation to the east side of it, painting the new support structures the color of the building, and also having any attachments in conduit or et cetera, that it would also match the color of the building.
Of course.
And be able to just give you the certificate of appropriateness if you are okay with those choices that staff brought forward.
Yeah. You're not taking that tree out, right? No. So we can't even see the units from the street, because those trees are so thick, so. And then next door, there's gonna be condos, I guess, eventually, on the corner there. I don't know, it's been a while
Is it gonna
since
be
that got
closer?
approved, but nothing started, so I didn't know what's going on with that.
I don't know if it got approved, because it had a lot of questions.
Did it? Okay.
It did go through the variance process. We have not received a site plan, so we're not sure if it's been moved forward or not, but it
That's
did.
gonna move 5 feet, if that one gets approved, it's gonna be 5 feet closer to my house anyway. so.
Correct, yes.
What, I'd like to make a motion that we approve certificate of appropriateness 26110 for 108 Passagrove Way with the 2 conditions as recommended by staff, that the vegetative buffer along the southeastern frontage of the structure shall remain in place. If it's damaged or removed in the future, it'll be replaced with mature vegetation of similar opacity. And then all the brackets and supports for the platform will be painted to match the building, and that all the new exterior wires will be placed in shrouds or conduit, matching the color of the building.
I'll second that.
One quick question. Say we wanna, even though they're hidden by vegetation, put a little privacy fence around it for both of them and enclose it, because I know there's a house right by the tennis or the baseball field. They just did that, and they put like a little fence around it, and it's painted the same color as the house. So to kind of hide them and make it more aesthetically pleasing, would we be able to do that also?
Brandon, do you have any?
I wouldn't have any issues with that.
No.
The board doesn't.
And it would meet, you know, all the requirements for ventilation and all that
Correct.
stuff too, so.
Is that allowed?
It's allowed under the, as long as they meet the ventilation requirements. Does the board have any concerns with that?
No.
No,
It's better than 2 units.
agreed.
So at this point, we had our second, I guess, roll call.
Member Young?
Yes.
Member Zaleski?
Yes.
Member Dashiell?
Yes.
Chair Hurley?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, on to item 4C, the certificate of appropriateness for demolition number 26108 at 101 11th Avenue.
Yes, we have applicant owner of JVS Contracting Incorporated for 6 Game Investments Incorporated. They are requesting a certificate of appropriateness for demolition of a single-family residence. This was formerly a conversion from a garage that existed behind a home that originally fronted more directly along 11th Avenue. That garage, even with its conversion, is considered a contributing structure to the Paso Grill Historic District. As I mentioned, they are seeking to demolish the 1-story converted residence. The larger front residence was also a contributing structure. However, it was demolished back in 2010. It was considered what is remaining is considered a contributing resource to the Paso Grill Historic District as of the 2015 resurvey. However, it was not found to be contributing resources during the 2003 National Register of Historic Places boundary increase. The structure was determined to have sustained substantial damage from the 2004 hurricanes, Permits for demolition and new construction are currently pending. So you can see here the location of the site, the photo of the former front structure on Google Maps from 2008. You can see here the current staff photos. This is a contributing structure. It is not locally designated. Structures that have been designated pursuant to the contributing structure status are eligible for a stay of up to 30 days by this board. If you would like for staff to discuss preservation incentives with the applicant, here are the criteria that we review in our staff report. The board cannot deny this request. You would be able to impose that 30-day stay. Staff finds that the historic integrity of the structure is slight. It's not independent of the long demolished front home, a significant contributor to the historic integrity of the historic district. It's also unclear when the garage was converted, as it is not a floodplain compliant structure. Staff does recommend approval of this request without a delay on demolition. And you can see our recommended motion here. I do not believe the applicant is present, but we're not recommending a stay on demolition. If the board was to recommend that, we would ask to continue this case to bring in the applicant. Any questions for staff?
No?
I have a question. So the primary structure was demolished originally in, was it 2014? 10? And then this remained for what purpose? I'm pretty sure it was rented out.
Originally, there was a house with the garage, or it had a small apartment structure with a garage in between the two, actually. When it went up for sale, the owner of the property to the east of it purchased it and demolished the front structure, kept the apartment building, and then added the pool area. They then sold, or I believe sold to another relative, and then after the storm, I don't know what all's going on with it. I know it went up the front house went up for sale, and I assume it included the back parcel also, but I don't know the history of it since 2024.
I would just be curious, so given that there hasn't been a residential parcel solo by itself for a number of years, what would be the buildable size on this lot? So this would be a house medium or house large?
I believe it's a house medium.
I'm a little concerned. I think it's, for the owner applicant to not be here and then ask for this demolition, it makes me a little apprehensive, to be honest.
The slab on grade did get pretty inundated from the storm. So.
And we can't not deny them to demolish it. We can only ask them to wait for 30 days, and in that 30 days, is anything going to change?
Probably not.
I'd be willing to make the motion to approve the certificate of appropriateness for demolition without a stay.
I'll second that motion.
Member Dashiell?
No.
Member Young?
Yes.
Member Zaleski?
Yes.
Chair Hurley?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, our last action item for today, this is local historic designation case 26098 for 107 6th Avenue. Susan Cameron, manager of Grace C. LLC, requests local historic registry redesignation of the primary dwelling on the property that was originally listed on the city's local historic registry in 1998. It remains on the registry. However, that was prior to the city earning certified local government status, which is what gives this board the authority to take action on incentive cases for historic properties, such as substantial improvement variances. So this would, if redesignated, it would allow the applicant to take advantage of those incentives in the future. They were also seeking new designation of the accessory dwelling, which was not designated back in 1998. You can see here the aerial of the property. It is, of course, along 6th Avenue, and then a survey of the property. I will point out that the bay on the west side of the main residence does slightly extend into the alleyway. That is obviously a very long-term condition at this point in time. It is a wider alleyway, 18 feet on that west side, but it does have a slight extension over into the public alleyway. Here's the photo of the home from 1936. There was a significant renovation that took place in 1968, I believe it was. So that itself, that renovation is now historic in its own right. It did make it, give it a little bit more of a Florida flair to that front residence. There had previously been a replacement of the now incised support post. You can see in the top right photo here, this is a current photo of the property taken last week. That column had been replaced. I don't know the exact time, but it was sometime in the last 10 years. It had previously been a wrought iron column. We do feel that that exchange is a little bit more appropriate for the style of the structure. And then you can see the bay on the left photo, that slight extension into the alleyway. And then in the center photo, the rear accessory dwelling. Staff would consider both of these to be frame vernacular with some craftsman features included. And here are some photos that were sent by the applicant. This is for the rear dwelling specifically. Staff does support the application to both redesignate the primary residence on the property and designate the rear accessory dwelling. We did want to get some testimony from the applicant. Just as the board found back in 1998, both structures possess strong architectural integrity, and staff finds that preserving these modest multi-dwelling properties to be more essential today. We are losing a significant number of these properties that contain multiple dwellings, smaller dwellings, both due to development pressure and these storms. Staff finds the buildings meet criteria 1A due to their expanding importance in the development patterns that created Paso Grill, and 1D by embodying the frame vernacular and craftsman influence style that was common in the early 1920s, at the time of their construction. Both structures are contributing to the Paso Grill Historic District. They also have Florida Master Site files. We did just want the applicant to note whether there is any needed interior work to the rear dwelling that would affect the exterior. Again, that's specifically for the rear dwelling, which is not elevated to the extent of the front dwelling. And as I pointed out before, the bay on the west side of the building overhangs the public alleyway. This condition has existed for many decades. If the applicant chooses in the future to elevate the front dwelling or add on to it, we would need to address that at that time. It could not be elevated within the alleyway. It would also potentially reduce the ability to modify that bay in the future, but this is obviously a condition that has existed for a long time. This would be something that they'd be allowed to renovate and maintain on into the future, so I just wanted to point that out so the owner could acknowledge it. With that, again, just seeking applicant testimony of any kind of renovation that needs to take place in the rear dwelling. We do recommend approval of this case for both the redesignation of the front primary dwelling and designation of the rear accessory dwelling as local historic resources. Happy to take any questions, and of course we have the owner present.
Any questions for staff? Owner or owner's representative, or both, you want to come back up to the podium? And
Mark Leffler, 108 Paso Grill Way.
Susan Cameron, manager of Gracie LLC, 106 8th Avenue. I'm very excited to see the old pictures. I've never seen that. I'd like to turn it back to that.
Staff had a couple questions about what was it, the structure, the rear structure?
It was specifically, do you see the need for any alterations or renovations to the rear structure? Have those been completed?
They have not, but we're not going to change anything on the outside.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Board, any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Okay. Following the applicant testimony, we need to make a motion. I make the motion to approve case number 26098 for the redesignation of the front primary dwelling and designation of the rear accessory dwelling as a local historic resource.
Second.
Member Dashiell?
Yes.
Member Young?
Yes.
Member Zaleski?
Yes.
Vice Chair Hurley?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Discussion items. Yes, you can go. Discussion items.
So our first item, which Kristen Coleman
Thank you.
will present on, is an update to the historic plaque order.
Hello, everyone. Kristen Coleman, Planning Manager, and I'd like to give a quick update on the Historic Plaque Program. While not all of the historic plaques have been shipped yet, but we've been advised that the remaining plaques will be shipped within the next 2 weeks or so, and we anticipate having all of the plaques in time for our next Historic Preservation Board meeting. So with that in mind, at the August meeting, staff would like to hold a brief presentation recognizing the historic plaque recipients and distribute the plaques to those who are able to attend the meeting. If they are unable to, we can arrange for pickup here at City Hall for them. So we're really excited. I have seen the first batch that has come in, and we're excited to be able to recognize those recipients and everything. So if that's okay with you, we're going to do that at the, I believe it's August 8th meeting. Okay.
That's wonderful.
And if they have any questions, happy to answer those as well.
I think it's great. I can't thank you guys enough for all of your hard work in making it happen, and hopefully there's been a great turnout, and maybe people are still thinking, but I think it's wonderful.
We've had a few stragglers come in, but overall we've had 26. So
Great.
pretty good for the first
Pretty good.
batch.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Nice.
Thank you. Moving on, discussion item 5B, the design guidebook update.
Yes, if we could pull the screen back up, I did just want to share with the board that our consultant has provided the first draft of the Coastal Craftsman design guidelines, and we have been working on this. This is from a few weeks ago. I know that they're actively working on the background and putting together a more thorough guidebook with all of the different architectural designs that the board promotes down in Paso Grill. I wanted to share this just because it is our first concept. There were a few slight modifications made based on staff comments, but I felt that they did an excellent job at capturing what we would want to see in the guidebook. You, of course, have seen this home before. This is going in up at 24th Avenue. She's going, and this is for each of the styles that will be in the guidebook, providing a basic framework, effectively a template for designing the building based on the primary, secondary massing, the shared common elements, the different design criteria that come out of the city's local code, our Division 20 for design elements, and then a focus more on the actual architectural style that's being promoted. This example is the Coastal Craftsman. It gives identification of the features that are common for this style. There's 3 different columns, so this would help guide both staff, applicants, and the board in required characteristics, those features that are not typical of, in this case, the Coastal Craftsman style, such as avoiding the prairie style horizontal windows, any kind of clay tile roofs. You tend to see more asphalt and features like that in the Coastal Craftsman. And then some of the optional elements. These are not essential elements that would be required in the design, but that would include exposed rafter tails, which are fairly common down in St. Pete Beach, and standing seam metal roofing, which is another more modern contemporary feature of the Craftsman style. So this would be provided for each of the architectural styles. You would have a required column, a not typical column, and then a compatible optional elements for those who wish to add those features onto their home. You would have some feature designs showing the different types of windows, columns, typical roof lines for these architectural styles. And then, again, just another modification showing the the construction of a residence based on the framework provided in the guide, you would see an example of a home that did not have any of the features applied, one with the architectural standards applied, and then with the architectural and landscaping standards applied. Landscaping standards are standard across Paso Grill, but there might be locations where it may be more appropriate to have a larger, more canopy-style tree or palms based on the architecture of the home. So this is the basic template. Again, just using one of the architectural styles. Our consultant is working on a more thorough guidelines for all of the styles that would be included in the guidebook, but we're happy to get the board's input if you feel that this is going the right direction. If there are other features that you would like to see in the guidelines, we'd be happy to take your input.
I think maybe this is one area where I'll step up and make my comment about color as a feature to add to the design guidelines, because they are one of the pillars of architectural features, color. And I've lived in this community for 5 years, and I did go through Paso Grill, and I have to say I am struggling to find a new build in the last 5 years that is not a shade of white. And when you look up what Paso Grill is known for, it's known for its vernacular style, and it's known for its colorful architectural homes, coastal colorful homes. And I really fear that we're losing that in the Paso Grill community. So being that it is a pillar of an architectural feature, one of the 7 pillars, I would like to have a discussion of adding some type of color options to future design. I went around and I cannot find a new home that's not white.
I understand what you're saying. I just find it difficult to call out somebody's color on their house specifically.
Well,
I mean, recommendation that, I don't know if you can take white off the table completely.
Oh, I understand, but I can't find a new home that's not all white.
You're suggesting a suggested color palettes.
Well, this is happening here, right? We're suggesting coastal craftsmen. So are we saying that anybody that's building a new home in the Paso Grill community moving forward needs to build a coastal craftsman home?
No, that is just one of the design book goes into several different styles.
Okay.
What it tries to do is help guide a new homeowner or a new landowner and their architect in these are the type of styles that we would like to see here. This is one chapter or one page out of that design book that they've shared with us at this point.
I appreciate that, and I think we can also make one chapter of these are the palette colors that we would like to see.
For each style, I think we've got the craftsman, we've got, I don't know what others that we have got coming, but for each style, maybe a suggested color palette.
I think we can definitely
It's
do.
merely a suggestion, but that might solidify somebody's thought process or creative process when they're maybe deciding on a style of home. Of course, we all know that they can still build what they want, but this just gives them a little bit more guidance on what the board would like to see.
So that would be more like an earthy palette, for example, for the craftsman. Maybe not necessarily the coastal. Coastal white might be more appropriate. Key West would be more vibrant colors.
Exactly.
Okay.
I just know that I have lived in 2 historic neighborhoods before for like 20 years. One colonial, one Federalist. And those homes that are in Salem, Massachusetts and Marblehead, Massachusetts, which is prior to the Revolutionary War, those homes have to be a specific color that is designated to that the age of the home, like colonial colors. So that's my thought process here, and that I feel that the Paso Grill overlay is losing the colorful aspect, because every home that we've seen that is being demolished They were all colorful. They had, last month, there were 2 of them, they were both yellow. And I can guarantee you, the new homes that are gonna go up in that block and that lot are probably going to be white, based on what's going up right now.
Brandon, you know, is it something that you've seen or suggest, or would be talking to Tara about it again, or?
I'll talk to Tara about it. I'm fairly certain in other design guidebooks she's put together, she has had recommended palettes, so that might be something we can just draw forward from those if the board is in agreement with including this.
Draw forward and give us some direction on it.
Okay. Thank you.
And bring that forward, okay. Any other questions or discussion about the design book and et cetera?
I think it's looking great.
I agree.
Okay. Item 5C, standing topics of interest and updates. I guess this is where we learn about shuffleboard courts and everything else.
So I think our major update for this month is just an update on some of the surveys. We do have the major bulks remaining center of the city survey that has been authorized by the state. It has been funded. So that is majority along Gulf Boulevard in District 2, I believe. And then we are also making application to resurvey Paso Grill. The last survey was done in 2015. At the time, it was recommended that we update our survey every 10 years. We feel that especially by the time those grants start to be funded by the middle of next year, hopefully we start to see a slowdown in demolition and reconstruction, and we can reassess where the neighborhood is. We focus a lot on the demolitions, but these surveys do tend to pick up some of the changes that were made certainly during hurricane restoration, changes to windows, roofs, doors, those other features that are associated with contributing structures that this board may not have seen, that might have gone through an administrative process. It's really important to survey where the homes are at with the changes in features since 2015. So we're hopeful for that grant. We're working on it now. Thank you to the members who have provided the letters of support. We'll include those with the application when they go out tomorrow. And Kristen, do you have any other updates?
Just because you brought up the shuffleboard court, so I am part of the group that will be speaking with the contractor going forward. I think it's next week. So as we work through that process, I'll be sure to bring any information I have with that forward to you guys. So I'm willing to share. Okay.
Appreciate that.
That's all from staff.
All discussion.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, is that the end of the discussion for the updates?
Yes, yes it is.
Is it too late to add something to be discussed?
No, we're in discussion. I'd say.
And I'm just throwing it out there. There is a sign at Corey Avenue and Gulf Boulevard, right by the light, that says, it's got a sign, it's got a flower box, supposedly it's lit up. Do we know who owns that box? Is it city property? Does it belong to like the merchants of Corey Avenue? It's just very dated and sad looking.
Is that the center median sign that you're referring to that
Yes.
faces out toward Gulf
Yes.
Boulevard? I believe that's a city sign. I can talk with our public services department, but I believe it's city.
It looks like it just from the mechanics and that it's got electricity but I think maybe as we're trying to beautify the city, that might be a place in a very important historical area that a lot of visitors see. It looks straight out of 1957. It doesn't look like it has a historical element. It just looks like it's been neglected for 68 years.
So that'd be a recommendation to look at potential restoration options for that sign. Is that what you would like?
And I don't think it has to be extensive. It just needs the light post fixtures look like they came off a horse barn. There's no planting in the flower box. It's all weeds. I don't recall ever seeing it lit up, but I haven't made a particular trip to see if it lights up at night.
You know, maybe we make that as an initiative to look citywide on all of these parks, and the only reason why I say that is because the city has a multitude of micro parks. And I know the one on Paso Grill, Urshus Park, has an American Legion sign, and they have not been supporting that park for years. And the Paso Grill Women's Club has taken that over to replant, and Janae's Tropicals is taking that on. And so the Paso Grill Women's Club is having a sign because they're going to maintain that park now. And if that's happening, and that park has just been neglected. So this is exactly what you're pointing to at Corey Ave, and maybe there are probably quite a few of them throughout the districts in the city that are all having the same issue, and they've just been neglected.
And perhaps as we identify those, we could elicit support, like, for instance, the Corey Avenue one. Ask the Corey Avenue Merchants Association to adopt that and keep it planted and watered and weed-free.
I agree. I think they're great call-outs, because I think that, you know, if we're welcoming people into Corey Avenue and saying, this is our historic, cute community, and we've got the beach theater, and we've got all these things, it should have a little bit of life to it. And I was recently talking with someone who said, you know, the city looks blighted going up and down Gulf Boulevard. And I thought, gosh, you know, unfortunately, it's a good call out. So kind of to both of your points of maybe each commissioner can go to a group of people and say, this area is a project area, and will you guys take it on, or who wants to take it on, just to help out? Because I know the city has a lot on their plate, but we also have a responsibility, especially to our historic areas and then other areas of the community that'll hopefully be historic, you know, not too many days from now. So I think those are good call outs.
Yeah. So Brandon, what do you suggest on that?
You can talk with Public Services. I'll speak with the city manager, and we'll go from there.
Right.
Is there a regular review of, like, park signage, even the micro park signage?
That I don't know. I'm not sure. I
I
can
just
check.
happened to notice one on my way here today, and just down the street 2 blocks, here on Bay Street, I guess it is, and it looks terrible. It looks like it's mostly storm damage, too. I just didn't know if we have a plan to review these or not.
I don't know of any refurbishment schedule for them. I will talk with Public Services and our Parks Department to see if they have anything on file.
Board, any additional discussion or anything?
Yeah.
No?
Next meeting is August 6th at 2:30, and the board is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.